And this explains why Basti was so enthusiastic about Apophis is on the last round of day 1 of YCS Lille, and I can tell why you was so happy.
I know, and I mean, this may mark the last round of the day,
Oh.
but the man with the mark is ready to fight that, but Simone immediately starting off with polymerization, but we're chaining Dominus inputs to that, and there is a reason why this deck is not only called Apophis, but Apophis Dominus, because there is plenty of Apophis traps in this. There are Songs of the Dominators, there is, as we see, Dominus Impulse, and of course also Dominus Purge.
Oh, but Rahu is following this immediately. Bart now has to respond
Another
to something.
Dominus card? No! That's rough.
Simone, he is not easily bothered by one lousy Dominus Impulse. No, you need more to answer his calls here. Rahu will now send a Dracotail card from the deck to the graveyard and then fuse together with a monster from hand. Let's see which one it will be. Oh, it's 2 actually, Phimena and Urgula, and therefore you can add back 2 cards with your good old Arthalion.
However, Songs will be very good right now.
Oh, but
It would
does not look like a response. We're already resolving the Aphalion. That's good news for Simone. And honestly, Dracotail as a deck is a deck that I don't like to face when I'm on Apophis, because Apophis really struggles with some of those cards that the Dracotail deck can put up. And when we see this variant even, with polymerization, everything in the main deck, there also is reason to believe that there could even be something like Guardian Chimera in their extra deck. And Guardian Chimera is such a strong card against the Apophis deck in a grind game state. So this is certainly not the matchup that Bart was looking forward to, but he's 7-1 in the tournament right now with this deck, so I'm sure he also has a game plan for that matchup.
I think he's going to be fine now. We're going to follow it up with K2, and K2, not knowing what your opponent has is a little bit tougher to use, but I think at this point you're pretty much always going to go for a pan here, right? Because you have added back the 5 mana, you have most of the time your one of Urgula in the graveyard already. We're at Mululu, which is a negate, so pan or Mululu, very good answers on the opposing turn combined with a 5 mana.
Yeah, and I mean, one interesting thing here is we used the Dominus Impulse, and that one actually is not that obvious for the Apophis deck, as the Man with the Mark is an Earth monster, and that means we cannot use the Man with the Mark now anymore due to the Dominus Impulse resolving.
Yeah, or Ether Barrel.
Indeed,
So-
same thing.
Does it worth, in your opinion, to play Dominus cards in the Apophis deck?
Yeah, I think adding Songs of the Dominators is just so good, and therefore you have to just up the numbers of Dominus cards overall, and therefore you just take that little downside. It is what it is. Still, you just have way more interruptions going second, so I do like the approach, but this is a risky one for sure. Sometimes you would just have odd combinations. You would just have the Dominus Impulse with the Man with the Mark, but you also got to see that ratios overall just go down. Like you mentioned the Ether Barrel, because there is a Primate package in there as well. There only is 1 Ether Barrel in there. Even the Man with the Mark, which is the normal sum of the deck, only is in there twice. So just like you're lowering the chance of opening these things together, really.
So you lower your consistency and some engine cards in order to play very strong cards like Dominus to a deck that struggles a little bit to go second, right?
Yep. Exactly. Now we keep on going. Simone really putting up a solid field here, ending on Mululu 2, summoning out the Secretarion Dragon.
And I think staying within 4 summons, even though Dominus Impulse rules out Nibiru the Primal Being later on, but these fields can be accomplished so easily with this deck. And Secretarion Dragon is a really, really strong card, especially in the mirror matchup. You're denying your opponent from a Spellcaster and Dragon monster effects, which in some other matchups also helps.
Indeed it does. And there we go. Turn over to Bart. Carefully cutting the deck of Simone, but what could possibly break all of this? Is it even worth revealing? No, we are not going to reveal. And this, if Simone doesn't know yet what his opponent is on, might be a good mind game, because as we just talked about it, Dominus Impulse is really leading to other conclusions than Apophis, really. So not revealing that there is some Apophis cards in our deck is actually a good call here for game number 1.
I mean, to be honest, right now we have seen a lot of Mitsurugi in the high tables and in the feature match, so I believe that Simone probably thinks that he's up against a Mitsurugi, probably.
But I mean, ending on Secretarion Dragon, this denying Spellcaster and Dragon monster effects versus Man with the Mark and Aether Barrel.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty neat, no?
Yeah, maybe actually he does know, right? But on the other hand, with the Dominus Impulse, that was not really even necessary, right?
I think we're getting to the point of the tournament when you are walking away from your table after you won a game and then you're looking at your opponents, you see some people sticking out and you're looking at the decks. If you're seeing something crazy, you're most likely going to memorize the face and then you have information for later on in the tournament.
But to be fair, also Sectarian that brought back Molulu into the field, it was very important because Molulu have it as interruption in your opponent's turn to fusion summon and use it as a fusion material in order to get the negate effect is very, very important.
For sure, absolutely. That is huge. And I mean, as I mentioned, Bart already had a good run at the Dutch Open and he was on stream there too with this deck. So if Simone paid attention to the competitive scene in Europe, if he watched that live stream already, he would know.
Also, I want to add this deck on our stream doesn't have the best record. Apophis with the Primite engine just never really does something when we have it on stream. And this was, again, another game where the deck just didn't really normal summon anything.
However, can we appreciate the fact that before this feature match we had Apophis on the stream with
Genesis format,
right?
Yep.
Yeah, how did that do?
Well, I don't want to talk about it.
I mean, you played versus the almighty Joshua Schmidt, right? So you're excused.
Thank you.
Who did you lose to before with the Apophis deck?
I don't want to talk about it either. Okay. But I really want to talk about Bart possibly turning this all around, because now going first is obviously where the trap decks are shining, and with the combination of Primite and Apophis, it adds a whole different layer, because now you even add another Omni Negate. Imagine ending on Swamp Deity, and Primite Drill Beam. You have 3 negates for cards for your opponent. That is just... What deck can recover from that? Hardly any, really. Imagine then a Statue of Anguish pattern next to it. Voila, I think that could be it here in the last round.
That sounds crazy. Imagine just having Harpy's Feather Duster for this. That could turn entire games around, even though, Drill Beam.
You just negate it, yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
Fair.
But we still have to get access to that. That is not a guarantee, but we will be able to see momentarily as players are again ready. So let's jump into game number 2 here.
We talked about Apophis being a deck that doesn't like to go second. This is why we take the bet and play some Dominus cards. However, going first, it is a whole another story.
Oh yes, it is indeed.
Oh, that is a hand. I've seen some good cards already.
Oh
here.
yes, that's what we like to see. Pot of Extravagance. There's many cards you wish to use Ash Blossom and Joy Spring on against the Apophis deck, but when they start with this may already baited out.
And to be fair, Apophis is one of those decks that I really don't know how to side in and side out against it, because it is very strong against the most common hand-ups right now in the game. For example...
I don't think Ash Blossom is that good against the deck, right? You have to throw it on Man of the Mark and then hope that there is no treasures, or on the Anubis Last Judge. I think a Man with the Mark is a better Ash target.
Yeah.
Otherwise...
I think just Drone Lockbird is really decent. You probably already have that card in your side deck, as you are expecting a lot of Mitsurugi decks, and it does also really hurt the Apophis deck. Sometimes when you just have hard draw on the right pieces, it's still okay, and you will always, when you have access to Treasures of the Kings, at least set the one Apophis snake, but you want to search way more with the deck. It's not like a classic search deck, but the searches you're doing are actually quite meaningful.
I was not expecting that from a trap deck.
Yeah,
I will note that down, to be honest.
Yeah, it's not a classic trap deck, but Drone and Lockbird really hurts the deck, for sure. So let's see, with Treasures of the Kings, we do set Apophis the Snake so far. Oh, Apophis the Serpent, indeed. So far, so good. That one gives us access to then the Swamp Deity as well.
I really love the effect of Apophis trap. It's an amazing effect that it gave the trap cards and the trap deck strategy another concept, and I really love the fact that you can set another trap from your deck.
I also like that if you have access to the field spell, you do not even normal summon the Man with the Mark and the combo. If you have also access to your Aether Barrel, because that one can be your normal summon then, can replace the Man with the Mark, because the Treasures of the Kings, it can just search out the... What's the name again? The Circuit.
Yeah, if you would play Circuit, I think in this version of the deck you don't play Circuit, because you just try to keep the Apophis package as small as possible. But you don't really need the Man with the Mark even, right? It's not necessary at all. I mean, actually, you're not even playing Temple of the Kings. So you're not really setting up the stuff on the first turn, but you're rather just trying to have a strong setup for turn 2. And then you really don't need the normal Son of Man with the Mark anymore when you already have Treasures of the Kings. Oh, we do go for Primite Drill Beam here, though, instead of the Ether Barrel. Does that mean we already have Ether Barrel? Must mean that, right?
I mean, do you need the Ether Barrel for it? You can special summon out the normal monster from your deck.
True, actually.
And you can normal summon the man with the mark if you want.
So the whole concept of this...
Fuvalos on the Lordly Load, though, giving Simone a chance to draw at least one card.
There's Angel Trumpeter. That is a cool card. Level 4 Tuner monster.
It is, indeed. Giving us access to rank 4 plays together with the Man with the Mark or the Ether Barrel, but also the option to go into Psy Frame Lord Omega if we wish.
Do you have any other level 8 synchros that you want to play, like the Tenny one?
They're not in his deck here right now. Technically, you could. I don't see why not, yeah.
Why do we play this Angel, though? Only for the XC summon and just advancing our plays?
Yeah, I mean, we need a normal monster for the Lordy Load, so we just chose this one. I mean, some decks have decided not to play the Angel Trumpeter and just instead play the Psyframe package, just having the driver already in the deck. This, though, is a card coming in from the side deck, Primite Scream, which is screaming, I am a counter trap. And additionally to all of those already negating cards, you can also negate a summon with this.
So this plus Drill Beam is just maximum amount of Primite Disruption. Negating a summon, then banishing that monster, and it can set itself back down is really, really huge.
So the strategy is that we play with our Primite to establish the counter trap, Primite Scream, alongside with Primite Drill Beam, and also have the Omni negate through the Apophis strategy, right?
Yeah. I think this is just an insanely strong setup. At this point, though, can we set more cards? Because sometimes you do struggle, you know? Sometimes you do not want to set more cards because you just need all of those zones eventually. And also, you do not have the option to go into Silhouette Rabbit here anymore, so we may be missing Stature of Anguish pattern.
I mean, you don't necessarily always need that card. Sets 2 more cards and then perhaps passes. I think you can still go into Silhouette Rabbit, just wouldn't set anything, and you're giving your opponent a draw, which does not sound like the best play.
Okay, immediately the Serpent going in.
Now I'm curious if Simone, because he's like such a long-seasoned player, if he wants to call out that maybe you can't even set that trap card anymore there, but there was a change in rules that you can, in fact, when you summoned a trap card as a monster, use that zone.
That's true. Now the Swamp Deity. Everything Simone reads at the moment just says negate. Like every single card that Bart is presenting him with just says negate. And that is, of course, in Yu-Gi-Oh! In 2025, a very, very strong word to face.
Yeah, meaning that due to the latest Forbidden Limited list, we have seen that a lot of cards like Baron, Savage Dragon have been on the Forbidden list and cannot be used anymore. And so we have seen that negation is not a concept anymore in the current meta state. And facing a deck that has a lot of negations, it's very strong, to be honest.
But I mean, we're trying to play around this. Your Fright for Patchwork is a card actually negating. That sounds great. Super Polymerization is being used here.
That's
takes away the Apophis, the Serpent. That is crazy, because now the Swamp Deity also doesn't negate anything. Simone is online.
It is pretty strong. That's 2 Earth monsters resulting in that Mud Dragon. And now that Swamp Deity doesn't do a whole lot, and Super Polymerization, due to its very unique nature, cannot be responded to, so the counter traps that we had, or the Drill Beam, just couldn't do anything about this.
And now also the Primite Drill Beam is shut down. This was such a strong start to the turn already for Simone. Really piloting the... like he'd done nothing else in his entire life.
I mean, we can still reveal a Primite card in the hand, right?
Oh, true, yes. That is also possible, if we still have any.
Obviously.
We will see. There is, I think, a couple more cards remaining in hand. 2 or 3. Yeah, 3 it is. Mud Dragon, though, now, if the Primite Drill Beam is online, of course, can protect our monster effects as well from being targeted. Like, the monsters in general can be targeted. If you have the Drill Beam live, I feel like that is a card you possibly want to use it on. Don't you? Because there is Polymerization also waiting in the hand.
I can still see that happening. Sometimes maybe the polymerization can't really do anything good with it.
Oh, yes, the Primite Drill Beam is live.
You have to reveal some. Oh, you have the...
Of course.
days.
Swamp Deity is a normal monster. How could I forget as a true Apophis expert? It surely is. So that means we are not resolving that also powerful Draco Tail spell card.
All right, then the super polymerization wasn't as crazy. Dodged the negating effect there. But still, that is huge for Bart. Also great card knowledge on his side. No true Apophis duelist would ever forget this.
I'm sad, but you're right. So let's see, Simone, what else do we have? We have the polymerization and we have 2 monsters at least to work with, so this could be a possible angle for maybe Guardian Chimera. Could be valuable, but... Oh, Solemn Judgment on the polymerization! That is one very old card negating another very old card.
Simone is smiling. Maybe this is a, haha, this was way too much. Or this could also be a, well, I have now baited out everything. Goes for K2 Draco Tail, and that is absolutely massive here. You can just add a Draco Tail monster from your deck to your hand.
That Dominus Purge, Bo! Bart with all the Dominus cards in the world.
And we talk about how Dominus cards are very impactful in the current meta state, and obviously that, as you said, Basti, you need to take some steps back with Apophis and, for example, play cards like Dominus Impulse, Dominus Pairs, or even Songs in order to counter the current meta and have very strong cards.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the lovely thing about the Dominus Trap cards. You can just keep them in your hand on your opening turn, because I do sometimes face the issue that I just don't have any zones available anymore. The summon of that Atchim just gets negated and it gets banished. One last card remaining in hand for Simone. No way can turn this around, and he realizes and therefore picks up his cards. Bart has equalized the score, 1-1. Apophis back on the menu.
And we talk about how strong the deck is going first, because yes, it struggles going second. That's why we have included cards like Dominus cards, but as we can experience right now, going first, it's another whole level and another whole story.
And honestly, this got a lot closer than I thought it would get if it wasn't for the extra card in hand, the Dominus Purge there, that stopped the K2 Draco Tail, because otherwise, I think if this K2 Draco Tail resolves, he's through. He runs away with it.
Probably. Also, with only 4,000 life points remaining, we could just end it there this turn, you're right.
Yeah.
Just a well-timed Aphelion just gives back a monster to the hand, and then easy direct attacks. Yeah, I could see it. Like, if there is not a Dominus Purge, it may have been over. It was there, though, so never doubt it. The Apophis deck just still shining, and now going second, of course. In the main deck, we had all of those Dominus cards, but now with the side deck also, of course, coming in for help for game number 3, we will have even more things to be equipped for the Draco Tail matchup, and I'm really curious. Let me actually see whether there's anything specific maybe for that certain matchup. Do I see something? How about Dimension Shifter, ladies and gentlemen?
Oh, Dimension Shifter is actually crazy versus
and also, you mentioned it earlier, the Psyframe cards, and specifically Psyframe Delta, kind of becoming a little bit more popular. And yes, in this deck where you're already running the Primite cards, we are seeing Delta and Gamma coming in from a side deck. And just using Delta on one of the spell cards of the Draco Tail deck can be phenomenal.
Is it a thing for Apophis also to play a combo instead of Silhouette to go into Lambda, like we have seen some Yami decks do that?
Let me see. There is no Lambda in the extra deck. No, I'm sorry. I can see it. It would probably be possible. But just the effect of Silhouette Rabbit, and you just don't have that many monsters. And I think with the little amount of monsters you have, I think Silhouette Rabbit just feels like a better investment, really.
Yeah.
The statue is just absolutely insane. But I think that with Draco Tail, there are so many interruptions on the other side on the Apophis deck. You only need one card to resolve to outgrind your opponent immediately. Draco Tail is a deck that loves these 1-for-1 trades. If you get your K2 Ash, that's fine. If you have multiple engine cards to push through 3 or 4 hand traps, you're going to end up on the same field that you would have if there was no interruption.
Yeah, that's true. It is very hard to interact with. Another card which I don't think we have seen all weekend so far is the Retaliating Sea. That could also be a card coming in against that matchup. But you were not really a big fan of it because you think you can just deal with it too easily, right?
Yes, you can even play around it if you know it's not coming. If you are having, for example, a start with like a Lucius or something, or you have a 5-mana Heart Draw, you can just add 5 mana to your hand, then go for a fusion spell, so Retaliating Sea might be chained, and then you chain 5 mana, fuse away all the cards that you have, so you cannot resolve the other card that Retaliating Retaliating Sea was chained to. Then you get Arthelion off. You're very likely to have a negate there or a pop on the Retaliating Sea. You get all your follow-up, and then Retaliating Sea was just basically a talents activator.
The thing, though, is, like, the Draco Tail deck is not as consistent. Like, sometimes they just have to start with a spell card, right?
I think this version is.
Maybe this one.
I think the patchwork version is crazy
Yeah, but
consistent.
in this version, Retaliating Sea is very, very good.
Yeah, unless you have 5 mana or Lokias.
Yeah.
Well, we will see whether that's going to become a thing here as players are all shuffled up and ready for this third game. One last game remaining for the day, and it will determine who is going into the second day with an X1 record, which is massive. So let's find out who that is going to be. Is it going to be Simone with Draco Tail or Bart on that Apophis Primate deck? Let's go into the action.
As Retaliating Sea is so powerful, as you guys said, there were also like side decking technologies against it, starting with a Kashtira Fenrir, add another Fenrir, and if Retaliating Sea is activated, you fuse away your Fenrir from hand, doesn't hurt you too much, and then you banish the Retaliating Sea from the opposing side.
K2 Draco Tail is the start, and it is resolving. Okay. That is immediately big news for Simone, because that gets the engine online, and it also goes unanswered. So that is just exactly what he was hoping for.
And I love the fact, as you mentioned, Leo, that Draco Tails are used to play Kashtira Fenrir because it's a card not only that gives you resource in the hand, which is very important for the deck, but also plays around for cards like Retaliating and also for K9.
I want to see something crazy here. I want to see 5 mana activate immediately because you can't impulse this.
Ooh, no cards on the field, you're right. That is very well done. Using 2 materials from the hand that looks like... Is that an Urgula? I think it is an Urgula and...
Urgula and something.
And,
was it 2 Urgula? Yeah, it's 2 Urgula.
Oh, okay. 2 Urgula is very strong against a deck like Apophis as well in the grind game. If you have both of them in the same hand, that's not too bad. We set Rahu down, and we don't even bother setting it. We actually just activate it here.
Rahu Draco Tail will also resolve, and I mean, we talked about it. There's just so many cards trying to stop the opponent from what they're trying to do with that Apophis deck. You're just running 3 different Dominator cards, or 3 different Dominus cards. That was what I was trying to say. So you're just really trying to create a half field for the opponent. So when your opponent now goes off uninterrupted, that is no good news for the Apophis deck.
Yeah.
However, if Apophis plays card like, for example, Storm, Duster, or any Field Breaker, can go second, or it probably be Dominus cards and some heavy, impactful hand drops.
But even then, we have already seen that an Urgula was added back. You have Urgula in the grave still plus 5 mana, so even if you use 2 or 3 field-breaking cards to take away the Draco Tail field, there is still gonna be 5 mana, send Urgula to pop a card, and then in the process probably also another monster pop or something. So I think the setup for Simone is already incredible.
Yeah, having 5 mana with Urgula is very, very important in this particular matchup because, as I've been informed, you need to deal with the field spell, right? This is the big issue of the deck. Except if in these builds you need to deal more with Primate and not with Apophis cards.
I mean, one thing that could also be good here is possibly a super polymerization from the side of Bart, of course, as we have been presented with a spellcaster and the Dragon Monster here. So turning that into our very own Secretarian Dragon could be massive right away. But let's find out whether Bart has something like that.
Is Simone playing 2 Gulame?
He's not, no. He's only running one of it.
Okay.
So, Bart, 6 fresh cards. You need to work on this field now. What are your tools to dismantle it?
I would say we start with a normal summon of something. Aether Barrel, Man of the Mark.
How about evenly matched maybe? That would also be a good tool maybe. Oh, it is the Aether Barrel. Okay, Leo, you're right.
And that one is a lot more proactive. Yes, you can set... Ooh, interesting. You can set the Primate Lordy Load, and this one would present you with the opportunity to get a Primate Drill Beam, which is really good to also dismantle fields. But as long as the card is set, this baits out an Urgula like nothing else.
I mean, you can also activate Horn, target the barrel, and then chain Gulamel to the set also.
Technically that works, but that is also, of course, just sorta wasting, quote-unquote, the horns. I don't know whether I would love that too much, but we shall see.
Do you have a better option against Apophis though?
Probably not really, you're right.
I mean, I don't hate Famena discard Urgula and then immediately add back resources, get a pop out, because this Horn Gulamel technology you can do at any point. Like, you can do
that is a Typhon though, and Typhon says we cannot use the effect of Aphalion anymore, but still the effect of Gulamel, of course.
Yep, you have to kind of respond to this because it bounces your monsters otherwise, even though getting Gulamel back into the extra deck, that's fine.
I mean, also you can, it's very important that you can do Horn into your own monsters, so you can chain Gulamel, which is very important, for example, since Typhon is on defense position.
Simone thinking about this one. Also, for all the French fans at home, for all the people rooting for French players, on the backup feature match, we actually just concluded a match between Sami Bashar and Gabriel Susi. They once before played in the finals of the European Championship, and that match already ended with Sami Bashar coming out on top there.
And we can see, as we mentioned...
Okay, Songs of the Dominators in response to the trap card activation, in response to the Draco Tail Horn here from Simone. That's massive from Bart.
And I really love Song. Is one of those cards that have a Valor Impermanence kind of effect, but have the restriction that you cannot activate monster effects in the graveyard or in the hand for until the end of the next turn.
Which is super fine for Bart, right?
Yeah.
So we've seen that countless times here that he doesn't activate those kinds of cards. Now the Arthalion goes back. We still get to draw a card. K2 gets put back under the deck. Picks up a fresh new card here that can help him play around this. Gulamel is being negated. So the Typhon now has a really, really strong effect on the field that Arthalion can't bounce back cards anymore. And other cards like Filia Regis also can't banish anything. Even though Filia Regis now with Arthalion gone doesn't really have too much impact anyways.
Not really. We're using the effect of Typhon. We're not summoning too many monsters anyhow, so we can go into the Typhon very early, and we have dealt with the Gulamel now as well. Or Gulamel, rather. So, what else, Bart? Is that a classic? Set 4 more cards? I mean, first of all, we're probably just going to go after the Primate Lordly Load, which is still set.
I mean, Simone does not have to answer to this card anymore, right? Typhon was summoned. There is nothing that you are afraid of when it comes to monster summons, so I think you keep the Urgula for other cards here. We're still setting 2 more cards.
Set 1, set 2, set. Come on, keep them coming, Bart, keep them coming. Another one, please. Yup, set number 4. Can you make it a full 5, or are we going to leave it like that?
I think there are quite some bluffs in there as well. Passes the turn, doesn't want the horn activation there, so Simone gets another card, and I'm very certain.
Because, yes, this is what I was going to say. You can keep the card that you really want in the hand, since 5 mana can all be activated in the main phase.
Yeah.
Set 3 cards, for example. Pass turn, your opponent will activate probably 5 mana in his main phase, and then you can set the card that you really want to keep.
Yeah.
And Urgula will not have a valid target.
Here comes another copy, or probably just exactly the same copy as it was before, of Draco Tail Gulamel back onto the field. And we now go ahead and set K2 Draco Tail.
Oh, okay, I think he's just making sure which card this is. This would have been a very interesting pop on the Primate Lordy Load.
Oh.
Yeah, goes for another card. Which one is he hitting? And that is a trap card. That is Apophis the Serpent. This card has so much impact. And now the Gulamel on the field is looking so incredibly good. Yes, sometimes you can chain block this card, but you have a lot of activations right now.
That is indeed very strong. Simone looking like he is in control, but Bart still in the main phase, thinking whether he wants to do something else, but no, turn is back over to Simone, and he is in full control now. Will he be able to capitalize, or does Bart... Oh, okay, actually it was a good hit, because you can only activate one Apophis the Serpent anyway, so that was a good loss actually there. Bart probably happy about losing one of them.
Yes, but if we have something to chain right now, Gulamel can be very, very sneaky to destroy.
Against continuous trap cards, those effects are always annoying, but no response.
I mean, you can also wait for the Swamp Deity, right?
Yeah.
You can just... You have 5 mana in hand already? Oh, do you have 5 mana in hand? Because we went into Gulamel and not into the good old... Oh, that's actually rather dangerous here. Well played by Bart. It's kind of a checkmate scenario right here, but Urgula is going to get back the Lucias YCS is, of course, also going to force interaction.
And now the Gulamel as well just goes out of the Swamp Deity and says, hey, if you want to activate this now, sure, go ahead. Doesn't do that much either, but at least we dealt with that. For the moment, we do not have to worry about it being used on something else.
Yep, we didn't pop it, but it still used the effect. Right, we dealt with the threat. Now Urgula still under the deck. You still have K2, you have Lucius in hand. You also haven't used the set effect of Urgula, so you get another pop. The only card that you do not know of on your opponent's side of the field. K2 is being activated here.
As you mentioned, Leo, Bart now has only two cards that are hidden at the moment. The one that has been set and the other in the hand. So I believe that Simone can play very, very well, especially with Urgula and Fusion Summoning instantly into probably
That's
a Secretarian?
I think that's Urgula and
Or
Pan as well.
Arthalion.
Goes for Arthalion, cannot activate this. But that doesn't really matter. You also want one in the graveyard because the first one has been bounced. Your extra deck is full with Dracotel Arthalions, so you can afford to waste a body here.
Feels all right. We do go ahead, just destroy the Typhon, so we eventually will be able to use Aphelion again.
And another
Destroys
K2.
the other unknown card. It was just another Lordly load. All the Lordly loads in the world for Bart.
You have to still be wary of a Dominus card that could hit you like nothing else from the side of Bart. Those cards can also... It would have been a liability to set it even. Now normal summon Lucius.
This is looking fantastic for Simone. He is eager to end this day with an 8-1 record. We are playing 15 rounds of Swiss in total here this weekend for the very first time at a YCS. But ending the first day already with 8 losses would be a very, very strong start.
Or
into
8
this.
wins, perhaps.
Oh, 8 wins even. Yeah, you're right. Mixing that up on my end there. A lot better, actually, to get 8 wins, now that I think about it.
8 losses is a bit tough to achieve as well.
You could do it.
And to be fair, the only cards right now that Simone needs to be scared of is only Dominus cards. His songs has been activated, so he doesn't need to care about an Nibiru or an Ash Blossom or any monster hand trap. Rather only for a potential impulse or pairs, but I don't think that at this point it would not have been activated.
Another Aphelion, and we are working our way towards 8,000 points of damage. And Bart just left smiling, nodding, and probably enjoying the last moments here in the featured match. Super Polymerization dealing with both the Serpent and the Swamp Deity on Bart's side. Battle phase announced, one attack after the other coming in, and we do have... Oh, what is going on now? I was already ready to announce the winner here.
We do have a discussion. Battle phase. That's the fist of it. Simone Rotorato gets the W against Bart here. Bart with 3.
Yes,
Primate
3
Lordy
even.
loads
The
in
last
hand.
card in hand as well.
But Simone played this professionally like he had not done anything else in his entire life.
To be honest, I felt like literally in the middle between you two because we have Apophis from the one side, Dragotel from the other side, and I really didn't know what to choose. But as we can see, first of all, I want to say congratulations to Bart because he presented a version of Apophis that it was very well prepared for this event,
sure.
and I really like his going second strategy, to be honest. But also, obviously, Simone with his Dragotail strategy, having all these polymerization cards to go to advance his plays and go to fusion summoning, and I think that he played it perfectly.
I think we're getting to the point also in the tournament. I think in the first couple of rounds, we saw some nerves, we saw some nervous players, but you could really tell these two players, even though it's the last round of the day and you may think they are exhausted, they were sure with every of their moves. Like the way they were handling their cards, the way they were just like confidently being the player there on the table that they are, you could really tell that they have been playing the decks for forever, essentially. And that is something that you need to bring to the table if you want to go deep into a tournament in a YCS, if you want to do well at that kind of a tournament.
I think that's something that every player realizes if you're bringing a new deck, even to locals for the first time, you will realize, okay, I don't quite know what I'm doing. Maybe I have practiced my combos at home, but I don't quite 100% know what to do when anything hits me, like a hand trap or something. So then you're still asking yourself questions about your deck. You're still trying to figure out some lines.
The Leonard Koenig experience, yeah, exactly.
Yes, I was so nervous in the last regional I played, I forgot Urgula effect in the graveyard.
Yeah.
Not the one to add back, it's the setting one. I used Rahu, sent an Urgula, and was like, All right, your turn.
Great, well done.
Where's my flame?
I mean, we've all been there, right? When you're just picking up new cards, you just like playing the game actually is completely different to just theorizing about it. Theorizing is a very crucial part. I think putting in the time to just theorize about finding a good combo, finding good synergies between engines or between specific cards is really, really valuable and nice. But when it comes down to an actual duel, it all becomes a little different. It all becomes like even more multi-dimensional as well, right? Because you also now have to account for your opponent and the moves that he's doing. Sometimes you expect your opponent in theory to do something specific, but then they do just something very different, which may not be considered to be good, but in that scenario it's just different, and because of that, it will work out for them, you know?
And I mean, we have said this a lot of times, that you get better just by playing, playing. And all you see, all the good players, all the best players currently in Europe and in the world, it's just that they know every scenario. They have played every scenario. That's why they're comfortable, because they have faced all these scenarios again and again.
Yeah, that's the funniest thing, right? When they're doing some plays that you think were not optimal, and after the game you're asking them, why did you do this? And they're like, yeah, after 120 hours of playtesting, we realized that in scenario X, 10 minutes into the round, this is the ideal scenario to use a ghost spell.
Indeed, and also you have to say that with Doom of Dimensions just being so freshly released, already having so much testing time, even just looking at the cards and already getting familiarized with the cards that are only out for 2 days, but you could of course just spend a lot of time with them already, just thinking about them and finding the right answers with them. Like, players will be ahead of the curve. Like, those top level players, they will be already perfectly knowledgeable about cards, but are just releasing, and therefore you can just you can really tell the difference between a seasoned player like Simone, who just won the feature match here, who has been playing Yu-Gi-Oh already in like 2015 or something, and on the other hand, some people that may play their first YCS. Both can in the end still win the YCS. We had first-time YCS winners when they played their first YCS, but of course the chances are a little higher for more seasoned players.
Yeah, we also had, for example, Lukas Janssen, who played his first YCS and then got into the finals versus Julius Schwarzkopf. I think he has played a YCS before that, but that was absolutely incredible performances. But now we want to hear it from the winner, so let's go over to Simone and Alberto.
Thanks so much, Leo. I'm here with Simone, the winner of round 9. First of all, congratulations. It was a very long day. And how do you feel?
I feel great. It was a long day. I just get AX1 with a double loss. So
Okay.
also the loss was a tough game, winnable. And that's great.
Well, I think for the new format and the new rules, advancing to tomorrow with an 8-1 record is super solid. Of course, 6 rounds for tomorrow, so you will take one by one. For those of you, I mean, I've known you for a long time. You have been playing the game for 10 plus years. We have been used to other format, but for sure this is another challenge.
This format is kind of cool.
And I think it's definitely something that you're looking forward. Tomorrow you have essentially, you can afford for the top 8 another loss. Hopefully you go 6-0 undefeated, so best of luck. Let's so. And so let's talk about the match. So you see at the table you win the die roll, and this is what happens in game 1. Essentially you combo off, and your opponent scoops. So any thoughts? If you see an impulse?
I see an impulse, so I thought about Mitsurugi. I go for this combo to put more interruption as possible with Mululu and Femina in hand. And that's it. I decided in for Mitsurugi.
So. Of course, especially because in the second clip for game 2, there was not Mitsurugi for sure. And how do you feel about the deck? Because you had the super polymerization, but I also feel like this is difficult. I mean,
it was mathematically lost because of the number of his interaction. But I sequenced the card with from the less value one from to the most. So I did the possible, all the possible plays to take the win, but it wasn't possible.
Just I think come a little bit closer here to the screen for the viewers at home. And next highlight, it's I mean essentially just what you were mentioning. Not much that you could have done because I mean with this field, I mean we of course know that this deck really wants to go first, and we saw it. But in game 3, what I wanted to show you is you had a very good hand. You had a very good starting end, and I think you also had a chance to essentially bounce back both of your fusion, right?
Yeah, the end was not so great because it could lose from one interruption. But once it resolves, it was good. And once he summoned the Typhoon, I thought the game is done. I had also 2 entrap in end, so it was not bad.
Yeah, I mean, and the last highlight, pretty quickly, I just want you to see essentially how you deal with this field. And I mean, I really feel like you have to be satisfied with this result because this is a kind of matchup. I feel like also at the very end of day one, it's a tough one, honestly.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
So first of all, congratulations for tomorrow.
Thank you.
I don't want to keep you waiting because it's been a long day, so I just went roughly a little bit about it, and hopefully we will get the chance to see you again on stream tomorrow. Guys, thanks you so much for watching, but don't go anywhere because Ed is ready. And Ed, back to you.